Get ready to tune in, turn back the dial, and rediscover the airwaves of yesteryear. This is Echoes from the Past, your backstage pass to the shows that changed everything.
Let's talk about the Cisco Kid. It first galloped onto the radio waves in 1942, starring Jackson Beck as Cisco and Louis Sorin as Pancho. What's fascinating is how this show brought the Old West to life. You could almost hear the dust kicking up behind their horses, you know? These were voices that filled living rooms during a time when radio was king, when families gathered around to let their imaginations run wild. Now, the Cisco Kid ran until 1945 on the Mutual Broadcasting System, but here's the thing. A lot of people don't realize this. It wasn't just left behind when the network run ended. In 1946, the show was revived and became a syndicated powerhouse. This was thanks to the dynamic duo of Jack Mather and Harry Lang, who brought Cisco and Pancho to life for more than 600 episodes. And think about that. 600 episodes. That's commitment to storytelling, right? From 1947 to 1956, that syndicated run provided rich weekly adventures. But what made it so special? I'd say, honestly, it was the immersive sound design. You see, back then, radio shows relied on sound effects and the actor's delivery to paint these vivid pictures. And it worked. I mean, close your eyes and picture this. Horses galloping, revolvers firing, Pancho's hearty laugh. It was all there. The show became a time machine, transporting its audience to the Wild West without ever leaving their homes. And let's not forget the tech part of this evolution, because that's what fascinates me. Radio in the 40s and 50s was cutting-edge media. It might seem quaint compared to what we have now, like, streaming and AI-driven tech. But back then, just getting clear broadcasts across the country was amazing. And storytelling itself had to adapt to the medium. Scripts were tighter, dialogue carried the narrative weight. It sort of forced creators to be innovative within limits, which honestly is kind of inspiring even today. So, the Cisco Kid wasn't just a story, it was a trendsetter. It proved that serialized audio drama had legs, literally galloping legs, right? The audience was hooked episode after episode, waiting to hear how Cisco and Pancho would get out of their latest predicament. All right, let's dive into some episodes that really showcase what made the Cisco Kid such an enduring piece of radio history. Take Bank Robbery in Cactus Junction, for example. This episode had all the drama you'd expect from a Western. Gunslingers, a high-stakes chase, the whole deal. But what set it apart was the humor they wove in, especially through Cisco and Pancho's banter. It was this mix of action and lightheartedness that kept listeners coming back for more. Then there's Night Stage. Now, this one stood out to me for its vivid storytelling. The way they described the rickety old stagecoach on a moonlit road, you could almost see the shadows stretching across the desert. And the sound effects? I mean, you could hear the horses' hooves pounding and the tension in every creak of the stagecoach wheels. Honestly, it's these little details that made the world of Cisco and Pancho so alive, so real. I remember discovering an episode called Flowers for Polly when I was a kid. It wasn't one of those action-packed adventures. It leaned more on the emotional side. But for some reason, it stuck with me. Like, I still remember sitting by the tape player, just completely taken in by Cisco's softer side in that story. It showed me, even back then, that this show wasn't just about shootouts and outlaws. It had heart. And that versatility? That's something I think modern storytelling could learn a lot from. But it's not just the individual episodes that deserve attention here. It's how they all work together to create this larger-than-life, cohesive world. Whether it was drama, humor, or heartfelt moments, the Cisco Kid gave its audience a little bit of everything, and it did it so effortlessly. And to me, that's what makes it timeless. So, here we are in the present day, where classic shows like the Cisco Kid are finding new life as podcasts. And I think we have to give a big nod to Humphrey Camardella Productions for making that happen. Bringing back these old radio episodes in a format that fits our modern world feels, honestly, kind of genius. I mean, it's like they bridged the gap between generations, The reception has been fantastic, too. We're looking at a solid 4.5-star rating from listeners. And those reviews? They're not shy about showing love. People are raving about the nostalgia, the writing, and the humor between Cisco and Pancho. And hearing that intro music again? It just gets that sense of excitement going. It's pretty clear this podcast has struck a chord with both die-hard fans and curious newcomers who are discovering it for the first time. But it hasn't been without its challenges. Take those region restrictions, for instance. Some listeners have run into roadblocks just trying to tune in. That's probably one of the trickiest parts of bringing a global audience to something that started so locally, so specific to its time and place. I mean, when I think about accessibility, it's kind of ironic, isn't it? We've got all this amazing technology now, but sometimes it feels like we're still figuring out how to really make stories available to everyone everywhere. Still, what Humphrey Camardella Productions has accomplished is nothing short of impressive. They've taken these classic stories and made them accessible again, introduced them to a whole new audience. And I think, in some ways, that shows just how timeless the Cisco Kid really is. Whether it was back in the 40s or right now, it proves that great storytelling never goes out of style. And that's all for today, folks. Thanks for joining me on this nostalgic ride through radio history. It's been a pleasure sharing the magic of the Cisco Kid with you. Until next time, keep listening, keep imagining. Take care.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through the airwaves of the past. We hope you've enjoyed exploring the classic radio shows that shaped generations and left a lasting legacy. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode of Echoes from the Past. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to share it with fellow fans of history, storytelling, and vintage radio magic. Until next time, keep your dial set to the golden era and let the echoes of the past remind us of the timeless power of radio.